Hello and welcome. Today we've got Randy Fowler, the brother of Kevin Spacey. And today we are going to be discussing Kevin Spacey's sexual assaults. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Unless, of course, myself and Randy can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Randy, thank you for joining me, sir. How are you and what have you been up to?
I've been practicing my drums, getting ready to do another recording session for my YouTube channel. I've got about 50 songs I'd like to record from Gino Vanelli and Toto. And done a few interviews here and there, but basically enjoying my retirement.
Well, that's very good. I'm glad that it's all going really well. You're looking great. So I wanted to talk to you about, the recent news on Kevin Spacey. And if you could tell us what's going on there. And also there's news from yesterday saying that Kevin Spacey to face sexual assault charges in Britain. And then Kevin Spacey confident he can prove his innocence. And then Kevin Spacey voluntarily appear in court over sexual assault charges. What's going on? You're his brother. What's going on here?
Well, I might be his brother, but I haven't seen him or talked to him since 2004 at my mother's funeral, or 2003. I really don't know. It seems like it took an awful long time for the Crown Prosecution Service to finally file charges, which makes one believe that it's possible that they have a real solid case against Kevin with 4 separate charges. And evidently, it's better for him to surrender himself rather than be extradited. So, according to his fan Facebook page, that's exactly what he's going to do. How soon, I don't really know.
So why do you think that would be a better option, in your opinion, that he should surrender himself as opposed to being extradited?
I think it has to do with voluntary surrender. Usually means that the accused feels that they're innocent and it's better to just surrender voluntarily as opposed to being extradited. So he could possibly get a less biased trial when it ever comes up, in the court system over there. I don't know how the judicial system works over in England. Are there 4 cases that they're going to charge altogether, or are they separate cases? I just don't know.
The Jubilee, the Queen's Jubilee is this weekend here in the UK. Now everything that's going on with Prince Andrew's, someone earlier was wanting to give me a leaflet on the Queen's Jubilee, and for a joke I said, she's bailed out Prince Andrew's. Let that sink in, I said to her. Have you seen or heard Kevin Spacey, interact with the Queen?
No, I haven't.
Okay. How about any of the royals, Prince Andrew's, Epstein?
I've seen pictures with him with Prince Andrew, and evidently sitting on one of the thrones with Epstein's female partner. Her name escapes me at the moment. But other than that, no. I don't really follow Kevin anymore. Ever since my suspicions about him had finally come to the public eye, I never mentioned any of my suspicions about his behavior in my book because I wasn't there. It wasn't anything that I thought was important to the thread of my story, because my story is about me and how dangerous it is to live in silence after child abuse. So I had my suspicions, and then they all came to the public eye in October 30th, 2017. And so the few things that I said about my brother in my book were nothing compared to what the world knows now. And in my personal opinion, I just don't think that these are all cases of mistaken identity. They're reading the excerpts from some of his alleged victims really brings chills to my spine, because they remind me of what it was like having to endure the sexual abuse from my father. So it's nobody knows except my brother what the truth really is. But there's enough evidence out there that his troubles are not over yet.
So what's the response like in your family, the ones that you keep in touch with, even extended family that you may keep in touch with, about Kevin Spacey's sexual assaults and charges?
Well, when my sister used to talk to me, she said that she didn't believe any of the accusations and thought that it was just people trying to get money from Kevin. And but I can understand her perspective, because after my mother died, she went to work for Kevin at one of his production companies. So she's had 12 years of brainwashing, and Kevin convincing her that, he's this great troubled actor, saved by theater. So now she doesn't speak to me at all. I have know why. It's possibly because of one of the interviews I did. She saw and didn't like what I had to say about my brother, because I've been very critical on his behavior. Because unfortunately, my brother now represents everything I'm fighting against. And that puts me in a real dichotomy. Do I speak out? Do I just keep silent? Or do I continue to try to get my message through to all the people that could use my words? I'm not trying to convince the Kevin Spacey fans. I'll never convince them. It's the silent ones, the ones that are too terrified to speak up, that I'm trying to reach. So as far as my family, there is no family. All that's left is Kevin and Julie. Everybody else has died. And I have no contact with my niece and nephew because of Julie. So there's nothing I can do about it. I'm an orphan.
So if Kevin Spacey was to, be arrested and it was all to come out, how do you think there are other people that will go down eventually that would be a domino effect in Hollywood?
Well, you see, Hollywood really doesn't care if you're a pedophile or a rapist or a racist, as long as you don't get caught. But as soon as you get caught, you're out of the club. And Kevin has been trying for 5 years to make a comeback. He's got 2 movies. He's been shopping at the Cannes Film Festival. And whether these newest allegations against him are going to affect the backers behind his movies, no, I just don't know. It's really a matter of distribution. Kevin was sued by MRC, the makers of the House of Cards, for $31.5 million, and he lost all 3 appeals. So I doubt if Netflix is going to pick up any project with his name associated in it, but there might be a platform out there that would be happy to take his projects, because it really comes down to how much money they can make, off my brother's name. He's still a big star, and he has been denied every single charge that has been made against him. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? But it just is ironic that it took, England 5 years to gather enough evidence to actually want to file formal charges. So I assume that these are criminal charges, not a civil case.
So when was the last time that Kevin Spacey actually had a film and starred in a movie?
It was last summer. He did a film in Italy called The Man Who Drew God. And I think it's about a police officer hunting down a pedophile. And if I would have been his agent, I would have recommended that he not take that project because of all the allegations against him. So that he's shopping the movie Gateway to the West, which is taken place in the year 1242. Looks like he plays some kind of a priest. And then there's another movie coming out called, I think it's called Peter 85. And what was funny about it is I watched the trailer and he's talking in the same accent he used in the House of Cards. And I found that really strange that he would continue to use that one character in another movie. You know, it's like the man has no acting chops. It's like he can't just come up with another character. So I found that kind of strange when I watched the trailer.
Why do you think he stayed with the old character from the House of Cards?
Honestly, I don't really think Kevin knows who he is. He's done a slew of Let Me Be Frank videos justifying his actions because he doesn't believe that everything he does is bad and has consequences. And I've never thought he was that great of an actor because he never really acted. He was himself. And a lot of people say that some of the best actors are those who don't act. Well, that might be true with some actors, but how do you explain Johnny Depp? The man's got monster acting chops, never plays the same character twice. You know, everything he does is just absolutely phenomenal. That's why I've requested him to be the star in my screenplay that is being shopped right now. And because of his versatility, I really like the man.
So, you said that Kevin Spacey done a film last summer. How comes he's still doing movies if he's being caught? And usually, when you're caught, like you've said, Hollywood, they kick you out of the club.
Well, this is in Italy. It's the equivalent of a spaghetti Western. It's not going to be distributed here in the United States because his name is still taboo. They haven't let him back in the club. And he had people shopping the movies at the Cannes Film Festival a couple of weeks ago, but he was nowhere to be found. So he's not obviously comfortable about, being in public, promoting a movie yet because of all of these allegations against him.
So you're sure that now his career is over with Hollywood?
I believe so. I think he had his moment in time as Kevin and Spacey, but all that's left is Kevin Fowler, and he's going to have to learn to live with that. And I've reached out to him at every interview saying, I might be able to help you understand, what it is you're going through, but still no word from him. Like I said, it's been since my mother's funeral that I've ever talked to him, So I wish my brother would reach out to me, but he probably won't because of how critical I am on his behavior. I detest my parents for what they did to me. My father just laughed at me when I tried to bring it up, and my mother just said, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. So unfortunately, my brother has inherited two of my parents' worst traits: denial and cruelty. And that's something that I have to live with. But I'm not going to stop speaking, because every time I get a chance to talk to someone just like you, it's possible that I've reached another lost soul, because silence is the killer of souls. It will eat you up alive, and you'll end up making all of your decisions based on your feelings and not the facts, which always gets you into trouble. So that's really what my book is about the dangers of silence. So that's why I continue to speak out, hoping I can help one child, one adult at a time.
I'd love to leave your link of your book below in the description so that people can have a look and read. What stops you from actually going to Kevin Spacey's house yourself to search for him and see if you could help him?
Well, I am not invited, okay? And I am not the type of person that's going to push myself upon anybody, including my brother. It's going to take my brother to reach out to me, and then I'll be there with loving, open arms. And if we reconcile our differences, I and we can have a real brother to brother relationship, that would be awesome. But I just don't see it happening. I don't see my brother having the strength or the courage to reach out to me, because I found out 2 years ago from my sister that I asked her, why won't Kevin have a relationship with me? And she goes, I'll tell you exactly why. Kevin will never have a relationship with you because you remind him of the past. I am the keeper of the secrets and the truth, and he can't face me. And until he gets formally charged and convicted, it will probably be the only time I'll be able to go visit him, when he's in prison, because I don't see anything changing. It hasn't in 17 years, not a peep from him. I don't see him reaching out to me, you know. And I'm brokenhearted over the fact that I'm even related to him, because it's such a distraction from the message I'm trying to get out there. But I am under an obligation to answer any questions that anybody wants to, ask me about the situation, because it is a strange family dynamic, growing up in the house that we did.
Absolutely. So what do you think is going to come out of all of this stuff that's on the news of Kevin Spacey right now? And why do you think it's happening right now, all of a sudden? Do you think this is going to escalate?
I believe so. I believe that if he does surrender himself to England, to the authorities, and these cases go to trial, it's very possible that the other victims that are out there, especially during his tenure at the Old Vic Theater for 10 years, might have the courage to come forward too. There's just so many allegations against him that it's really it's quite distressing to me to think that my own flesh and blood could be capable of being just like my father.
Absolutely. Well, Randy Fowler, it's been an absolute honor to have you on my show. Thank you so, so much for sharing that with us. And just to remind the viewers that Randy Fowler's book is in the description below, so you can click on it and have a read and have a look at that. Randy, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Well, I'd like to say to the people out there that have been abused, sexually abused, emotional, physical, please speak up to somebody. Please tell somebody that you trust your story. Because as soon as you can start articulating your horrific pain, that's when your healing will begin. It won't happen overnight, but it will heal you. It healed me. I was silent for 40 years until I met my wife, Trish. And then I decided to break the mold and tell her who I was and where I came from and what had happened to me. And she was shocked, of course, but she loved me and gave me the space to heal and gave me the courage to write my book. And I was able to get it all out. And it completely changed my life. You know, my memories of my past carry no pain any longer. I can talk about them freely without them bothering me. And that's what I'm trying to do with these interviews, is reach out to those silent people that are so terrified of their perpetrator that they just live in absolute fear. And it will ruin your life. It really will ruin your life. And I'm glad that I had the courage to finally speak up. And now it's easy to talk about my past.
Absolutely. Well, Randy, thank you so, so much. And we'll speak again very soon. And God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.